Hey, good morning, good afternoon. My name's Aubrey and this is Wildly Ambitious coming at you day 17 out of 30 of my challenge on YouTube. It's a beautiful day out here, early middle November. I think it's, what the fuck is today? It's like the 12th, 11/12. Hope you made a wish yesterday. Subconscious was trying to remind you of something, I bet. I don't know what it is though. Oh man, my hair today. It's a beautiful day. It's not too cold. I'm wearing my corduroys, but my hair, jeez Louise, dude. I just took a shower. It's kind of windy out. You'll have to forgive me for that. And what do I want to talk to you about today? I don't know if I actually did a review yesterday. I've been kind of slacking on that, just because it's kind of hard to keep up with. Nobody's really reading it anyway, and I'm not the most qualified person to be doing that kind of thing. However, maybe a little bit more so than a lot of people that do pick it up. I mean, that's not entirely fair. You know, I know a little bit about music. I play guitar, bass, I sing. Fool around with the drums sometimes, but that's not really my instrument. I'm not that good at it. You know, you might see me playing on a harmonica. I've got that big echo harp. I don't think it's on, it's in my other coat. And that thing's a lot of fun once you learn how to play it. You know, I grew up in I'll say an artistic setting, with my dad playing in bands through most of my earlier years, like through his 20s and stuff. And they did a lot of cool stuff. Some of it, like, they probably could have went a lot farther if they'd done this or that differently or better, or if they hadn't done this, or, you know, there's a lot of subjectives there that you can use to I'll say edify or belittle a person and their endeavors, whether creative or industrial, economic, family-wise, or whatever. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm not trying to be a hater. That was pretty irrelevant. I'm just saying, you know, you gotta have that infinite love and whatnot if you want to be loved infinitely. That's just that attraction shit, yo. And I don't know. What am I thinking about today? Thinking about music, saying that's where I came from. You know, I know a little bit about it. I've been studying it my whole life. Like I said, when I don't know if I said this or not, but by the time I was 1, I was headbanging to Slayer and grooving to the Meat Puppets. Then we got into the Wipers and Nirvana, and from there, like by the time I was 8, had my first White Stripes CD, the Ramones Anthology. You know who Danny Elfman is, brilliant composer. He does a band called Oingo Boingo. When I was 8, they got me that CD just because they thought I'd like it. And I did. It's fun and techno-y and poppy and shit. This is some good stuff if you want to check it out. If you get a chance, it's probably worth it. Album I had of that was Dead Man's Party. I think The Style was my first White Stripes album. But anyway, yeah, I might not be the most qualified person to review these albums that I'm doing, but you know, that's what I listen to. I just want to put, you know, a little bit of my own spin on things, put my own input and stuff. And you know, man, it's hard to get a good angle in here without directly staring into the sun or pointing the camera at it. I'll stand up again. This video is a little all over the place just because I don't know, it's nice out. It's hard to really get up, moving, talking, and being energetic and stuff when it's all cold and windy and shit. That's why I hate the winter. Because, you know, the summer might feel like it sucks, but at least you're out there doing stuff. Like, you know, everybody gets excited for the summer until it gets hot. Like Johnny Hobo said, everybody in this town sleeps until the calendar collides with June. And that's definitely true. Because I'm sure everybody around here is about to go right back to sleep now that the election's over. Trump's president. And I think this whole election period has served as something of a, I'll say, societal awakening period for a lot of people who, you know, just in this day and age in general, so many people have access to all this technology and information. There's this great, I'll say, spiritual awakening going on where everybody is just starting to realize what, I'll say that none of us really understand the true nature of ourselves or reality, but you know, we're all really starting to come into our I don't know, coming of age, coming into adulthood, we're starting to see how things really are, how they really aren't. A lot of things from our younger days that we might have taken for granted or not appreciated or that we didn't know about. You know, we're starting to learn about all that shit because we're getting older. And me as a 20-year-old man in Dover, where the fuck was I going with that? Talking about awakening and looking at these politics. Trump's in office now, and everybody's been starting to like tune into the fact that things aren't just gonna be good if you don't do anything to make that happen, or if you're just laying in bed watching cartoons, scratching nuts all day. And you know, we've all been there. It's what we're all doing if we're not doing something better. And I'll say better lightly because, you know, the time that we spend on this earth, we've got that. We've got our time and our service, and that's really it. You know, past that, you can say life is energy, so it's all kind of just a big old vibrational blob. And the whole myth of separation runs true there, because you start to see that all life and energy is connected that way. It's all the same thing. We're in this universe, multiverse, whatever you think this is, whether it's the kingdom of God or the stomping grounds of the Rothschilds, I don't know, whatever you believe in. You know, wake up. It's 2016. We're in the future. I can put in I can imprint my soul into this fucking little electronic device here that I upload onto my picture screen. I don't even watch TV for a lot of reasons. One, because people are always asleep and in the living room and trying to watch TV or sleep in there, so I don't watch TV. But I do have a laptop. You know, I watch a few TV shows, mostly cartoons, just because they're fun. And if I'm watching something like that, it's because I'm tired of reading and watching documentaries and shit about like relevant, important things that I personally find interesting or important to study and learn about. Because, you know, something my granddad told me a long time ago. They're Mormons, so you know, I don't know if you know what they believe. I'm not going to go into all that right now. You can look up the 14 Articles of Faith if you want. Get a Book of Mormon, it might change your life. I've heard that from a lot of people. It really does. You got that whole Mormon glow just from living that healthy lifestyle and being appreciative of the blessings you've been given and all that good Mormon jazz. But yeah, something he told me was, you know, if God put us here for this reason or that, then it would be our duty to learn the mechanics and structure of it, you know, to understand these things so as that we can, this isn't a quote, this is just my paraphrase of something my granddad said to me a long time ago, but he basically said, you know, we got to understand the nature of our reality so as that we can maneuver our way through it in a way to edify or glorify ourselves or our deity or whatever. And you know, my own faith is a little different. I don't believe in such a traditional, well, I can't say Mormonism is traditional, but I think you know what I mean. You know, I don't usually consider myself a Christian, but I do believe in a lot of the teachings of certain sects. I think organized religion tends to become a mess just because a lot of people focus a lot more on the human teachings than the spiritual ones, like the other people's interpretations, because they themselves do not quite understand what's going on with them, with the world, with this crazy magical book that people swear is true, that they base their whole lives on. And you know, it's a lot of people that they might see as more intelligent than them, but that doesn't mean that their opinion is right just because you're different or wrong by their standards. And like I talk about Johnny Hobo, Pat the Bunny, Schneeweiss a lot. He, I like to quote some of his songs just because they're all so deep and meaningful, like the things he stands for, the things he did with music in his time. Like you can tell, you know, even because his voice is all scratchy from doing so many drugs and being homeless and whatnot, like you can really tell that he's lived through these experiences that he's giving you, and that he's the things he say are real, even though, you know, he's a drug addict. So there's that song for the desperate that's like, I don't know where I fit between the vegans and the nihilists, and that might be the first thing I've said that wasn't a lie tonight. Oh yeah, sorry, but anyway, sorry. Don't smoke. I say it all the time. Don't do it. It's a trap. Message to myself in the past. Quit that shit before it comes too late. That's what they all told me when I was 15. And did I listen? Yes. Did I take their advice? Hell to the fuck no. What is that shit? What you think I'm gonna survive past 60? Fuck all of that, dude. I'll take my wrinkles and bad teeth. Take my emphysema and cancer. Got my black heart, black lungs. Squad. Either way, I'm out here. I'm surviving, living my life one day at a time because, you know, like I said in that Muted episode, every day is a blessing. Everything we get, we can take for granted, or we can choose to appreciate it, live our lives to the fullest and benefit from that. We can choose to attract these like frequencies, or we can choose to let forces control us in a way that we may or may not agree with. We fall into these cycles of depression or illness or addiction or whatever you got. You know, you just can't let it keep you down. The only thing we can really do is move forward. Looking back only does so much for us, even though, you know, a solid understanding of history might help to prevent certain things happening again. Like, I know a lot of these activist kids, these, I don't know, angry white bread millennial kids that think there's all these injustices and whatnot that may or may not be true. You know, that's why they don't make questionable jokes or like to, because, you know, if you say the wrong thing to any one of these people, then they're like, oh, you're invalidating this whole culture's existence. And I'm like, you can suck it, because I'm not. I didn't do any of that shit. It's not my fault. I made a joke. Chill. And yeah, I get the other argument too there, like, you don't really have to be that way, be so edgy and like shitty about things because you're making fun of a lot of suffering and whatnot, but that's why it's funny. Life is suffering. You know, that's what a lot of people think Buddhism is, but that's really not. That's a very Western interpretation, I'll say. That's really not what Buddha meant at all. What did he mean though? I've studied this a little bit. I really think Eastern philosophy and religion and culture is super duper interesting. Just because it is, you know, they oh man, it's starting to get a little bit chilly. Life is suffering, but you know, the dukkha, that's the word for that, dukkha, D-U-K-K-H-A, I believe it's spelled. You know, life is suffering. That basically means that not like everything is pain. That's not what suffering is. Suffering is sticking with something. Like, you suffer through labor, like childbirth, and you know, that's obviously going to be very painful because, well, you know, babies are kind of big, but you know, you just have to get through it. You're living through something that it's really hard to describe this, which is why Americans have such a hard time with it, which is why we have people like Alan Watts to make that a little bit more Western for us so we can understand and then adapt and continue to translate, and then maybe have a desire to continue with a certain path and learn, research more about that. But anyway, I don't get talking about this. I'm talking about religion and Eastern philosophies, Buddha, and spirituality. Earlier I was talking about this spiritual awakening that a lot of people seem to be experiencing. You know, just from the communities and circles I run in, a lot of people I see nowadays growing up, they really are starting to see that things are not the way they appear to be. And, you know, once again, don't take anything for granted, because it'll be gone before you know it. And we don't really appreciate what we have until it's gone. And that's how it goes. That's how it works. We live, we learn, we make mistakes. You know, we fight and break up, get back together or whatever. Whether that be like your friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, friend. And, you know, one day at a time. That's all I really have to say today. So, once again, thank you so much for tuning in, listening to what I have to say. It's nothing special, but it's what I'm doing with my time. I think it's important for me to get in these habits, to start just feeling like I'm doing something productive, more so than just sitting around being unemployed at home. Whatever my situation might be, my extenuating circumstances that we've all got. And you know, in this century, or this society, this day, age, area, whatever, you know, things aren't so good. So for anyone, everybody's been out of money. Everybody's feeling it. We're feeling this day, and you know, once again, it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better. Whether we go to some war, or whether everybody gets deported, or whatever's going on. You know, so far it's actually kind of surprising. I mean, first of all, Hillary did win the popular vote. I really thought she was going to take that one. But, you know, a lot of people might say that better Trump than Hillary. And a lot of other people might say, yeah, we voted for Hillary because if Trump is in office, then he's going to send all of our families and friends to internment camps or some shit. And to that, I say, grow the fuck up. Nobody's putting you in camps. That's foolish. And, you know, if that actually happens, then we're kind of fucked. I don't really believe that we're going to start fucking having a Holocaust on some Muslims right now. Just because our president may or may not be a racist and a xenophobe. And I say may or may not be just because I've never met the man. I only know what I've seen from media, how he's been portrayed on Facebook, on the news, my friends talking. I've never met this person. For all I know, he's a stand-up guy, and we're all just making him look like an asshole because we wanted somebody else to win that election. I don't think that's true. I think I really wish he wasn't in office right now, to be honest, but he is. And a reminder that if you're banking on him being a shitty president, then you're what's wrong with this country. Not really. I mean, I guess he would be, but you're definitely part of the problem, not the solution, because this is a sinking ship that we're all in. Let's make sure this isn't the Titanic and actually put people into office that are going to help us and not just keep circling bills and that are really only benefiting people who have room to make profit off of them. Because once again, everything in politics is planned, nothing's an accident. You know this, I know this. If you don't know this, you're lying to yourself. Anyway, sorry I'm going on this political rant. Usually I'm not super political, but I do really try to stay updated, informed, educated. Just because I do realize that this is very important. This is my country, this is where I live, my future. It's not like I'm going anywhere. You know, everybody was like, if Trump wins, I'm going to move to Canada. But then you remember that Canada has actual immigration laws, like the ones that Trump is trying to make right now. So, is that people can't just do that? So yeah, be an adult and take responsibility for a life that you think isn't worth living. Because as soon as you realize that life is worth living, then it gets a lot better. Because I spent so many years really just kind of wishing I was dead, that it made me in such a way that I let all these other parts of my life fall apart, just because at the very base or root, and you know, underneath that might have been a different story, but there's this certain point, this blockage that just prevented me from really appreciating and living my life in a way that would have been best. So I made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of bad things, a lot of stupid things, hurt myself, I hurt other people, and you know, a lot of it's may or may not be my fault. There's just things, you know, it's karma, things I might be guilty about that might still affect me today. And like, you know, karma, it's not quite such a cut and dry system of rewards and punishments, but it really is. It ties into everything else. Like, let's say you eat a sandwich today. Depending what's on that sandwich, you get karma from it. If those things were healthy, then you're going to feel good. If it was from McDonald's, then you're probably going to feel like shit. That's karma. If you punch somebody in the face, they might punch you back. That's karma. If you give them a chocolate bar, they might be your best friend. That's karma. And the same thing ties into, like, a lot of Christians talk about heaven and hell, or actually no, more like people who are trying way too hard to disprove Christianity talk about how heaven and hell is just a system of fear, of reward and punishment. For after you die, you go to heaven if you're good, and you go to hell if you're bad. And if you actually studied any of it and got your head out of your ass, then you'd realize that's not true. That's not what people who actually open their hearts and become spiritual believe in. Even if you might believe in hell, you know, if you even get past that, you realize everything is real, even in the realm of delusions. You know, these are still chemical processes going on in our brain and make us experience these things. And you could even go so far as to say life is a drug trip. Past the veil, once you separate it, then, well, we're on our way home, guys. Day 17, stand strong. Got the landing ring of love right here, and I'll send you some waves before I click out. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe to the video if you liked what I'm talking about. If you want to hear me talk about anything specific, or if you want me to do something, I might come out here, play a little bit of music for you someday. But I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing right now with this 30-day challenge. I'm just talking about whatever thoughts, and I might keep going with it, you know, keep doing my morning rants, and you know, maybe I'll build a following, maybe I won't. Either way, it's still a fun challenge for me, and I hope to do a lot more with it in the near future. But right now I'm dealing with a few things. You know, I haven't had a job, I've been having some medical concerns, so you know, just stay with me, stay tuned in. I'll keep you updated on what's going on with me and what's going on around, my thoughts on the world and what's going on in my head, which I might be a crazy person, but if you gotten this far, then, you know, you probably don't think so. Well, maybe you do. That's probably why you got this far, actually, is because we're both crazy and you love me anyway. But either way, most importantly, fuck you. Bye.